Hey everybody, and welcome back to Death on the Daily. Today's episode is speaking to a personal practice that I've done for years and one that has really supported me throughout my grief. In fact, it's been a constant companion for me throughout my grief. And that is my journaling practice. And journaling is really profound, whether it's grief or whether it's other difficult times in life or when difficult and challenging emotions come up. Journaling can be so profound and so powerful to help us to be present, to explore how we're really feeling, as well as to unlock perhaps some insights or be able to root into gratitudes as well, and other writing forms of practices that can really help us in our forwards path. And it's no surprise to me that actually journaling is acknowledged through science as a therapeutic practice. In fact, when I've been going on my therapy journey, every therapist that I've worked with has encouraged me to get into a grief journaling practice, and the benefits that I've received have been profound. And so in this episode, we're going to be exploring a little bit of the science behind journaling. We're going to be looking at different practices that you can try. We'll be looking at what you can do if those words just aren't flowing, as well as we're going to be journaling together. And when I say journaling together, when I do this in workshops, we literally do journal together. But for the purpose of this video, not having it being too long, and also so that you can take as much or as little time to journal as you wish to, what I'm going to invite you to do at those points is just to push pause on this video and then journal for as long as you want to. And then once you're done with that journal prompt, then you can push play and you can jump straight back into the episode with me. So grab your journal and a pen. And if you don't have a journal, don't worry. I always say this when I work with clients, like, oh my goodness, I don't have a journal. Any old piece of paper will do. Even the back of a piece of paper that's already got stuff written on is absolutely fine. As long as you've got some blank lines or space that you can fill with all of your scribbles, that is enough. And before we dive in as well, I wanted to invite just a micro practice, something that I do before I do all of my journaling. And that's simple. It's just hand to heart and taking a breath. So let's do that together. Put your hand to your heart if you want to join me, and let's just take a deep breath. All right, let's dive in. So first up, we're going to talk about why journaling really works. Journaling is more than just words on a page. In fact, it's a practice that can help us to be present with what is, to be able to express, to be able to regulate our emotions, and to help us to find clarity in what can feel like the storms or the tidal waves of grief. Studies have shown extensive benefits of journaling. These include lowering our stress, helping us to sleep better, lower blood pressure, even better immune function. And that one about immunity really interested me. And the reason for this is that when we write about traumatic experiences, for example, losses that we've been through in our grief, writing about those experiences can actually help to boost lymphocyte activity, which supports our immune system. But in addition to all of that, it gives us a sacred space for us to be raw, to be unfiltered, to be able to truly express how we're really feeling. And this is really important because, as we know, grief is messy. It can feel like we've stepped out of this planet and that actually we can't really relate to those around us. So this can give us a really powerful place to just be able to just be real. And the important thing in journaling, because you might be sat here thinking, okay, great, but I don't know if I could write this down, is that journaling, there's no perfection in life in general, but there is no perfection in journaling. You can literally write anything on a page. You don't need to have the perfectly polished right words. You don't need to fully be able to express every aspect of how you're feeling, because oftentimes in grief, we can be lost for words. But actually, it's just letting anything flow onto the page. And as we'll speak to later, sometimes that could even just be doodling, doing a little bit of art. So in our first journal prompt for this episode, I want you to grab your journal and simply ask yourself, how am I really feeling today? And my invitation here is, don't edit yourself. Just see what flows out. It might be one word, it might be more words, you might fill up 3 pages worth. Just see where you flow. And if you're finding this difficult, I just invite you, just bring gentle awareness into perhaps your body, into how you're feeling. How you're feeling could be starting with your inner battery. How's your inner battery feeling? Do you feel tired? Do your eyes feel tired? What can you notice about yourself? And then just write that down on the page. It can be anything. There is no judgment in journaling. So if you're joining me for this journaling practice now, you can push pause on this video and reflect on how am I really feeling? And if not, know that this video and the journal prompts are here for you to come back to at any point in time. And I'll also put the journal prompts in the show notes so you've got them for quick reference. Okay, welcome back. If you've just been journaling, hopefully some or many words may have flowed through, but there is no judgment in this space. Whatever flowed through, flowed through. And journaling is a practice. And when we say practice, it's because actually it's something that we can come back to. We can keep dipping our toe in to get more and more comfortable with it if perhaps it didn't feel that comfortable for you. So we're now going to dive into a few different types of journaling, see what piques your interest, maybe give some of them a try them on for size and see what fits you. So first up, we've got stream of consciousness writing. And this is very much inspired by Julia Cameron and her incredible book, The Artist's Way. And you may have heard of her morning pages. So this is exactly what that is. It is basically where over a number of journal pages, you in the morning just let your consciousness just flow, just write whatever comes up. And I find this really powerful when it comes to processing grief, because sometimes it's really difficult to be able to structure what is going on inside of me. It feels really fragmented and very random. And it can be really hard to structure, actually, how are we really feeling? Where are we? What's going on? What planet am I on? So what that stream of consciousness journaling does is it just allows us to have a release with no structure, no pressure. Just let your words flow. See what flows onto the page. So next up, we've got writing a letter to your loved one. And this can be really, really profound by way of a beautiful moment of connection with those who we've loved, who we've lost. And for me, with my daughter, I have written her a letter on special occasions, as well as just times where I just want to say what's on my heart. Sometimes it's around my hopes and what I wished we would be experiencing together, as well as around my experience, as well as just saying things that I feel have been unsaid. And as with all of these journaling practices, there are no rules here. Just say what's on your heart. Say things about them that you miss. Say what your hopes and your dreams could have been. What do you want to tell them today? It can be anything. It can also be really, really normal stuff as well around your day and just what's going on, giving them those little updates that maybe, for example, if you've lost someone, I'm thinking about with my granddad, who I would go to the care home and I'd update him on everything going on in life. That's a beautiful one where I can continue that connection through this journaling practice. And then next up, we've got gratitude journaling. So this is one that is commonly known, commonly done, and the reasons are because it is much like all of journaling, it's backed in science. Positive psychology says just how profound gratitude journaling is, including in us being able to build our resilience when it comes to navigating through traumatic experiences and grief. And when you're grieving, it might feel hard to find those gratitudes, but they truly are all around there. It could be the support of someone. It could be a cup of tea. It could be a moment where things felt normal. It could be a moment where we feel flooded by our love. It could be gratitude for memories held. It could be anything. So gratitude journaling is something that I do every single night without fail. And it's one actually that when I'm going through my most challenging times, I actually find the most fulfilling, because being able to reflect back on my day and to see actually it wasn't just wall to wall pain. There were beautiful moments, for example, where my husband and I had a lovely moment of connecting into the love of our daughter, or where a dear friend dropped a beautiful candle holder with my daughter's name on the doorstep. Those are the sorts of things that go into my gratitude journaling, as well as acknowledgements of myself as I'm navigating through the most difficult and most challenging circumstances in life. Because I think where we would give those props to our friends and be like, look at you, look at everything that you're holding, we often don't give that to ourselves. So In gratitude journaling, it's really simple. I just write down around 5 bullet points each day. Some days easier than others, but in my experience, I've always found that there are gratitudes to be found if only we are to expand our lens and to look for them. So finally, in this section, we've got memory journaling. This one's been really, really powerful for me on a multitude of levels. On the first level, it's rooting into those joyful memories. So for me, it was the pregnancy with our daughter, all of those gifts, as well as in our experience. And if you haven't heard the story of our daughter, Ngako Rayona, then go back to episode 1 of this podcast, because I share all about it and what her short life and her legacy, that lioness heart of her that roars within me, what she continues to teach me about living this life well. And in memory journaling, it's not just been on the joyful memories of pregnancy, as well as there was very painful but also joyful moments where I got to meet her, got to see how much she looked like her daddy, got to feel flooded by love for her, even in the rawest of my pain. But also there's been moments throughout my journey, like when I was going through the 20-week scan, when we got the diagnosis, that have been really profoundly painful and difficult. But actually that at the right time and with the right support, I will say I did this with a therapist, and I am not a therapist. So I caveat that here and would say when it comes to traumatic experiences, always to seek the right mental health professional guidance to support you if you need. But just to share from my perspective that I found it really, really therapeutic and really supportive. But for the purpose of this podcast, I'm going to be trauma informed and not take you down any paths that I am not trained to do. So we're just going to root this in the simple of what are joyful memories of your loved ones? What are memories that make you laugh? What are memories that make you smile? What are memories that flood you with love? Or perhaps just what are any memories that you'd like to pour out onto a page? So now if you wish to, if any of these from the stream of consciousness journaling, from the letters to your loved ones, from the gratitude journaling, from the memory journaling, if any of these jump out at you, feel free right now to push pause, to grab your journal and just to start flowing into any of these practices. And before we wrap up on this episode, I wanted to share a word if you're sat here thinking the words just aren't coming. And that is totally okay. Sometimes in grief, the words don't come. Sometimes they can't translate out of how we're feeling onto a page. Sometimes it just feels like, actually, I don't want to pick up that pen. What I will say is meet yourself exactly where you are. And if you want to join us in journaling, here are a few ways that you can do it if those words just aren't flowing. Firstly, try writing just one word or one sentence about how you feel. That is enough. Start there. Second up is we often think that journaling needs to be long and flowing, Dear Diary style, but bullet points can be really, really powerful, or just 5 words on a page, 5 different individual words that in different ways sum up different aspects of your experience. Or perhaps if you're more on the doodler side than the journaler side, drawing how you're feeling or drawing something that evokes a part of your grief journey or your beloved who you've lost can be really, really powerful. Or you can describe stuff that is really practical and all around you. For example, what's the weather? I mean, that is so British, isn't it? I go straight to what's the weather saying. What's the weather saying today? Actually, today in the UK, it is very sunny and spring has sprung. I felt the warmth of the sunshine on my face. This is literally the live updates of how it is in the UK today, which is wonderful. But it could also be describing your surroundings, describing something that you did, describing what you watched on TV. It could be anything. And sometimes just that of starting in, I suppose, the physical surroundings of us can help us to unlock a little flow, and we can slowly move from there. And as I always say in this Death on the Daily journey, we always move with grace and compassion. So if the words take a while to start flowing, that is totally okay. Remembering that journaling is a practice. It takes that commitment, it takes intention, it takes keep coming back to it and knowing that eventually those words will start flowing in a way that they are not right now. And that's definitely been reflective in my own experience. So the journal prompt for this section, if you want to join me, is just write down. It could be a list, it could be a few sentences of what feels present for you right now. It could be things in your surroundings, could be the weather, could be activities that you've done. You can really root it in the practical. Just see what flows. So if you want to join me here, push pause, grab your journal, write that down, see where you flow. Sometimes once you've started, it unlocks stuff. So don't stop there if you feel like you want to keep flowing with your writing. And so as we wrap up on this episode of Death on the Daily, if you journaled with me today, I hope you found even just a little bit of release, of acknowledgement of where you're feeling, of gratitude. Whatever came up is right. Because remembering, much as there's no right or wrong way to grieve, and our grief is individual, equally there is no right or wrong way to journal. So find your own practice and flow from there. And so every episode of Death on the Daily ends with my note to self. And today's note to self is an acknowledgement that just as my grief is lifelong, so too is my commitment for as long as I am able to journal and to reflect. So I write that my tattoo of grief is lifelong. And with this comes a lifelong commitment to keep exploring my grief, with journaling my constant companion to help me to go deeper. So I'd love to hear from you. Do you have a journaling practice? How has it helped you to navigate your grief? As well as if you're just starting out on this journey, or perhaps finding that there are some roadblocks as you've been navigating your grief, please drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you, as well as for anyone who's facing any challenges. I am here to support you in your forwards path. And grief can be a really difficult journey. It's one that 100% of us humans will go through. So as well, perhaps you've got someone in your life who this episode could support. If so, make sure you share it with them today. And also don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast. And until next time, remember that your grief deserves this space that journaling opens up. So wherever you are in your journey, I hope that you can put pen to paper. I hope it's a beautiful and meaningful experience. And know that I'm sending you lots and lots of love. All of my gratitude to you for joining me for another Dead Conversation. Death on the Daily is edited by David Strutt. The music is Set Free by Katie Gray. And I am Tanya Wilkinson. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would be over the moon if you can rate, review, and subscribe. It really, really helps me to get the word out there. And if you want to say hi or to hear more about my work as a coach and death doula, including how I support my clients to navigate their death on the daily, then all of the ways that you can connect with me are in the show notes. I'll be back soon with some more Dead Conversations. And in the meantime, take good care of yourself and others.
There's a cold fire, there's a crossfire, and there's something